What's up, YouTube? My name is Ghrei, and today I'm back with part 3 of What If Midoriya Had a Quirk. The reception thus far has been astounding for this series, and I'm so glad. Making these videos are highly enjoyable for me, and the ideas I have for these sorts of series are insane. Therefore, if you like this series, slap the sub button and tink the bell to be alerted when another one of these comes out. I wanted to give a shout out to We the Celestials for sending a little bit of that audience over here. If you want to check out more stuff like this, go check out their channel. But I digress. In the last episode, Midoriya went to the entrance exams to get into the school and got a total of 17 points. Quite the low number. This is mainly because before he could accumulate more, he entered a state of analysis paralysis due to the 0-point robot erupting from its holding cell. He was about to run with the other students when he realized that Ochako was trapped, so he wound up launching himself into the sky and spiking a massive wisp into the bot, obliterating it. He got his injuries from that stunt all healed up thanks to the school nurse, then went home, and here we are, awaiting his results. Midoriya took a shallow, shaky breath. The freckled fighter kept reminding himself how poorly he'd done, the anxiety siphoning a significant amount of steam from him. Still, after a few seconds to steady himself, the examinee tore open the note and the pre-recorded message clattered onto his desk. It automatically turned itself on, and as the wannabe student laid eyes on the projection, he sat in slack-jawed awe.
I am here as a projection!
Standing proudly before him on a glimmering stage was All Might. Midoriya looked between the message and the envelope in sheer disbelief, before shaking his head and honing in on what the message had to say, his awe punctuated by another puff of steam pluming from his collarbone.
Greetings, young Midoriya. As you well know, I am All Might, and yes, this is from UA. The main reason I came to this town was to become a teacher here. The green-haired fanboy, blatantly flabbergasted, listened on, eyes sparkling as he temporarily forgot the wretched news of the exam results. After a brief pause for dramatic effect, the number one hero continued. Unfortunately, a measly 17 points is not enough to get into the school. By that account, you did fail the test.
Hanging his head low, Midoriya took a shaky breath, tears bubbling up in his eyes. And in an act of defiance, he swept his arm across his desk, knocking the message into the garbage can. He was about to stand up, steam wavering with his creator's force of will, before he heard All Might speak again.
However,
the downtrodden student, slightly curious, sighed and wiped the tears from his face. He nestled back into his chair, slumped forward, watching the message from his waste bin.
You wouldn't have gotten in if that was all there was to it.
The freckled fighter briskly snatched the holographic message out of the trash can and placed it back on his desk in front of him, leaning in closer to listen better. His eyes glittered, suddenly alive with inquiries.
Before I explain further, take a look at this!
The symbol of peace pulled out a remote and whipped around, aiming it towards a television behind him flamboyantly. A video of a familiar face began playing.
Ochako?
Midoriya muttered aloud. All Might grinned widely.
She came in to negotiate immediately after the exam. Negotiate what? Look and see!
The video carried on to show Uraraka talking to the school board, attempting to give the ordinary-looking lad some of her points. She saw that he hadn't broken many robots and wanted to make sure he got in. He had saved her life, after all. While the dazzling teen consistently begged the school, the number one hero paused the video, back turned to the camera. There was a strained silence, which All Might soon broke.
Not only did you save a life, but your actions spurred others to act.
Izuku smiled slightly at this, looking down humbly.
The test was not only based on villain points, young Midoriya,
All Might muttered. The ex-examinee looked up tentatively and his role model continued the video, showing present Mike to be the teacher that the gravitational girl was talking to.
You couldn't give him your points even if you ask.
Present Mike sounded mildly annoyed before flashing an award-winning smile at the young lass in front of him.
But listen, you don't need to anyways.
It was here that the symbol of peace stepped in front of the television screen, blocking it from view. He stood with his side to the camera, smiling far wider than normal.
How could a hero course turn away someone who saves those in danger and does the right thing? Call it lip service?
Deku's jaw dropped once again in awed silence.
Bring it on! This is a job that requires risking one's life to put that lip service to practice!
The All Might admirer began to tear up. Every sentence, every word was giving the young man more and more hope. Far too much for him to handle at that moment.
Rescue points! A panel of judges gives them out, and it's the other basic skill we look for at UA.
The message showed the leaderboards, and in the first place slot, a name was highlighted. It was a familiar name. Quite familiar. Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya teared up immensely at this, voice quivering, trying to find the right words to describe his emotions. The muscular mentor continued.
17 villain points. 60 rescue points. Ochako Uraraka. 45 total points.
All Might turned to face Midoriya, his extraordinary smile brimming with joy.
You both pass. Welcome to the #1 spot of all the examinees, Midoriya. Lemillion was right to choose you as someone to train. Your potential is truly limitless. Now, come.
All Might held out a hand, prompting the green-haired crybaby to do the same, face stained with ever-pouring tears.
This is your Hero Academia.
Midoriya began shuddering, tears streaming down his face, attempting to stand firm but breaking after a couple of seconds. He wiped the tears from his eyes, vigorously sniffling.
Yes, sir,
he muttered tearfully, giving a strong, albeit shaky, salute to the inspiration he always looked up to. Wiping the tears away, Deku ran out to his mother to tell her the news, bringing the projection with him to replay it for her. After receiving the news, Lemillion demanded a meetup with Izuku on the beach his primary protege had cleaned previously to congratulate him on a job well done. He also confirmed for the young teen that All Might was, in fact, becoming a teacher at UA, and that he didn't put in a single word of recommendation for Midoriya. The permeating protector, however, was more excited by the show his student put on.
That was totally insane! I had no clue you could summon something that big! That had to take a lot of energy!
Lemillion exclaimed. The wispy warrior, looking flustered, turned away, blushing and scratching the back of his neck.
It wasn't anything too special. Not anything too special? Midoriya, you're too humble! That was insanely awesome, and it shows that your quirk is developing incredibly! In fact, I want to do some stress tests with your quirk tonight, specifically focusing on the amount of steam you can make.
The sterling student nodded, sighing. After a brief moment of silence, he spoke up.
According to the nurse, I burned about 10 pounds of body fat in that one attack.
Lemillion paused, suddenly highly pensive. That almost reminds me of Fatgum's quirk. Midoriya's eyes shot open and he began jotting down countless notes. He recalled talk of a secret technique that Fatgum had used a couple of times in the past, but he wasn't sure if it was true or not. Assuming the heavy hero's attack was real, maybe he could be someone to talk to? The intangible teacher and his student talked and tested the latter's quirk for a long time, deep into the night in fact, and a single breakthrough that they discovered cemented how Midoriya's steam production worked. They experimented, evaluated, and reconstructed Deku's training schedule to include weekly visits to a sauna and to apply special lotion over his body each night, both before and after showering. Content with the new plan, Izuku agreed to stay on it for a couple weeks and report back to Lemillion later. As the enthusiastic examinee turned to leave, hopes higher than ever, a set of prying eyes tracked Midoriya's every move. The freckled fighter was headed home, tracked by the individual who had observed him the entire time on the beach. The person's hands crackled and sparked, gently, to light their path in the night, teeth grinding against one another absently yet aggressively, eyes betraying a predatory rage.
That bastard! He cheated!
Bakugo growled, eyes shooting daggers in Midoriya's direction. He turned and stalked back home, blasting a hole in a brick wall on his way out.
And I'll make him squeal.
And that's where we'll be leaving things for now.
So what do you guys think?
What's Bakugo gonna do? How does Midoriya control his steam? How does his quirk relate to fat gums? Hope y'all enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to like, sub, and ting the bell. I'm sorry this was a little bit anticlimactic, but trust me when I say, this will set the precedent for some exciting scenes in the future. Hope you guys stick around for episode 4, and we will see all of y'all beautiful people in the next episode. Goodbye!